All right, scenario 2 of the Ringmaker cycle to catch an orc. Let's go through this in Pandem's playthroughs, the two-player progression series for Lord of the Rings living card game. Okay, let's do this because this is going to be an interesting scenario. I recorded this one a number of times, and let's see how we go tonight. Orders from Orthanc. Saruman has sent you with a dangerous mission, journey up the Misty Mountains southern peak in search of an orc, Mugash, and capture him alive. So we take the top 20 cards from a deck and place them aside out of play. Take Mugash and one of his guards, all for each player in play. Shuffle them, put them into a deck randomly, and then you put them aside. And then we'll go into 1B in a second. Mugash's guard, 43636 Orc, and while a player controls Mugash, is attached to Mugash's guard engages that player. So if you have him, they come in and get you, which is not good. And if he destroys a character, you have to release in control of Mugash. 14748 is Mugash, an Orc Uruk. It cannot have attachments, and when he's defeated, you may exhaust a hero to capture him, and it attaches him. And if you lose control of him, he goes back to the staging area. And if we lose a character in play, we lose the game. So we don't want that. So here I'm shuffling, trying to figure out which one's which. Looking away off camera while we're doing this was key here. So I put one randomly into a sleeve for one deck on the right hand side, and one randomly into a sleeve for the deck on the other side. Now, in the order of setup, we draw our hand first. We do any mulligans, and then we cut the 20 cards off the top of the deck. So we'll go through the setup and all of that now. Then we'll cut the decks because I played this thing through 5 times. Tactics: Eomer 10-1-3-2-4, Rohan Noble Warrior. So when a character leaves play, he has +2 attack. Imrahil 11-2-3-2-4 Leadership, Gondor Noble, and after a character leaves play, ready Imrahil, which is nice. And Eowyn 9-4-1-1-3. Spirit Eowyn allows us to discard a card to gain 1+ willpower per player, or each player who discards a card gets that. Leadership: Celeborn 11-3-2-2-4 Sylvan Noble, and when a Sylvan ally comes into play, they get 1 of each stat to the end of the round. Heldi 9-2-3-1-3 from the Law Sphere, range, and the combat action lets him attack into either an adjacent player's engagement area or the staging area. And Spirit Galadriel 9-4-0-0-4. Galadriel cannot quest an attack or defend. Allies you control do not exhaust when you come into the quest the round they enter, which is something I never did well. She has an action, you can exhaust her and decrease your threat by 1 and draw a card. So, okay, this is my 4th recording. So this is why I've reset. You see the jump there. I'm going to shuffle take the 20, shuffle my deck, draw my cards. Once I'm happy with the hand, we will go through and pick the hand, and then we'll cut the 20 off. What's appealing about that hand there, or wasn't appealing, was there's no attachments. So you've got too many allies. The 2 Nath guides are handy, but again, too much resources. I'm looking for Nenya or Mirror of Galadriel. So there's the mirror. I've got some when revealed cancellation. I've got some allies. Olorian is ideal here to reduce the cost of that first one played. All right, let's just speed up and let's get through the first 20 cards from the deck. I go to make the same thing happen on the other side. I realize I draw my hand first. So in this hand here, looking for allies, looking for this Envoy of Palakir to put resources on the right people. Bit of smoothing there. Arwen's good. Horn of Gondor. There's the Envoy. There's a Fierce Swordsman. And then Valiant Sacrifice. So, alright, so that's a decent hand. It's a good way to start this one. I think this is my 5th attempt when we get to it. So you can see here, Arwen can come out first turn. I can do pay for Envoy of Palakir with Eomer and Imrahil to put a resource on Eowyn and then play Arwen as well. So that's probably the turn. Arwen exhausting the quest will grant someone Sentinel and +1 defense. Ideally get a Shield of Gondor on Imrahil, and away I go from there. doesn't have to be a hero you place it on with Arlen's effect. It can be placed on a character, which allows us to potentially buff up the Defender of Nath as well, which makes it a bit easier to face some of these enemies. So 20 comes out, the relevant card, whatever it is from each colour at the top there, which is one of them is Mugash's bodyguard, one of them is Mugash, gets shuffled in. Right, cool. There we go. All right. So, searching for Mugash, let's do it. 2A, the Orcs prowl the mountainside looking for intruders. A single horn call from any of the sentries will hide every orc of the mountain coming down to you. So we have a time mechanic. This time mechanic essentially will tick over. When it's revealed, each player reveals 2 cards from the encounter deck. And we have to shuffle a discard pile in. If we quest successfully, however, we don't make any progress, but we add a time counter to the time counter, which means we go from 2 to 3, and at the end of the round, we drop it by 1. So it's handy to quest well. The 2 locations I'll pick, it's to pick 2 locations from 1B, and those 2 locations for me are Methedras, which is a 2/3 location. When it's in the active location, that grants +1 to the active location, and then if we clear it, it gives us search 3. So I play the Envoy of Pelagi, which will give us the resource for Eowyn to play Arwen. So having Arwen out allows us to quite easily quest a bit easier with a 2, and she gives 1 defense and sentinel to a character, which will be handy if it's an ally or a hero. Alright, and so we've got the Mirror of Galadriel in this hand, and that's the key part of this hand. Either with this deck, you take a Nenya or a Mirror. Mirror lets me essentially tutor to find it, well, the top 10 cards at least. You can see here I've didn't set back up again properly from this recording, so there we are. There's 2 Methedras locations. Because it doesn't say 2 different locations, it just says 2 mountain locations. That's why I picked the same one, because I want to be able to deal with that. So it's 2, 3, with a +1 when it's active location, 2 locations in the staging area, and I get to search 3. Alright, so yeah, definitely looking for Nenya here. Unfortunately, there's nothing here, so I think I'll take Olorian here. Olorian will let me just get allies cheaper. It's the best choice, I think. So I'll shuffle my deck, and shuffling the deck here, yeah, that's fine. It's weird shuffling a small deck this early in the game. Now, in order of operations, I'll play Galadriel and get Nenya. So, that's actually really nice to have shuffled it to the top, which means I pay the 1 for the Mirror, which I've got to pay now. Pay 1 off Caliborn. So the reason I look at this and go, I've paid Nenya, that's great, but I've already exhausted Galadriel, and I didn't discard a card here. So okay. So let's rewind this a second. So I was going to play Nenya, and then realise there's no point because Galadriel's exhausted, and I haven't shuffled out a card based on the Mirror to get rid of. Right. So I realise I start this whole process and go, hang on, I'll just re-roll this one back. So to be complete here, I look at all these cards for Nenya. Well, technically Nenya should be in my hand, but hey, that's a 1 in 9 chance. I think I'd be okay. Nenya technically should be in my hand when I shuffle and discard that. Which, yeah, and there's no point playing Nenya in there. I've rolled a dice after this game here to see, essentially, with the cards in my hand, if I rolled a 1, would I have lost Nenya? And I would not have. So I looked to count the cards there and see that they had rolled a dice to match it. It's not a good way of fixing things, but it's still probably a valid playthrough. But you're meant to have held that card the whole time there. Note there is another Nenya in the top 5 cards anyway. You can see the Galadriel Minstrel we played for 1 with Olorian. That's the Minstrel come out there and search top 5 for an event card. It's going to be the Tree People, most likely. I was weighing up with Feigned Voices to protect against any like Mugash or something like that. But the Tree People here is probably the best one. This lets me return Minstrel as need be and play someone for top 5 and play them into play, which is nice. I have some expensive elves in the deck. There's a 3-cost Orphan, which It's not expensive when you've got Lorien reducing it to 2, but it lets me start rotating some of these things and triggering the effects. Host of the Galadrim is the card you're after in later decks. I think it's the Fortress of Nirn it comes in. And it comes in the Elf starter deck, which lets you pull every Sylvan from play and run through all their effects, right? Which is pretty nice. But we're questing with 2 on the Minstrel, Celeborn, Imrahil, Eowyn, Arwen, and the Envoy, and giving +1 and Sentinel to Eomer. We should be fine on the first card here. Even if it's an enemy or even if it's a Surge, we should be able to deal with the difference here. So we're questing for 14. We always can discard cards at Eowyn too. Right. Another location, broken lands. Yeah, okay. So 6 in the staging area. And we get take cover, which is a surge when revealed. Each exhausted character takes 1 damage. Or remove 1 time from the quest. Now, with this quest, when we successfully quest, we gain a time. So as long as we don't have another one of those cards, we should be okay. Or a shadow proc that removes a time. That would be a bit spicy because we have to draw 2 cards each. Right, we want to avoid this. We want to search these decks through Methedras quickly. Hope they're in the top 6 cards, the Mugash in either deck, and go from there. So let's see how we go here, because we've got a wolf here. This wolf is adding 3 to the staging area, and when it attacks, it's a 28 threat 3/1/1/3 creature, and when it attacks, it gets +1 for each location in the staging area. Now, I haven't travelled yet. We're travelling to Methedras, and that will give me an additional location. 1 less location to worry about from an attacks point of view. So it's only give him +2 attack, which most likely means I should be able to tank this on anyone. Even Eomer, when he comes out, which is fine. The best part is, though, if I use the tree people here and trigger Galadrim Minstrel to leave, I get the +2 attack on him, along with Imrahil readying up, right? So there's a couple of things you can play, how you play these events. But 3 defense there against 3 attack, I thought that was a fair trade. So we're in a good spot here. That wolf's done its thing. This is where I play the tree people to pull Minstrel out. We paid 1 for Minstrel, so I can always play him next turn. The tree people is going to look at just return a Sylvan to my hand and then bring that back down to my hand, draw the top 5 cards, and play an ally into play. So this can be handy depending on what phase you play it in. You might need a defender, you might need to rotate someone out. But the goal here is that it makes it very easy for you to be able to, knowing that it's something in the top 5, play something, which is good. Especially if you've used Elrond, if you've got Elrond and Trevor people. Like if you were not to use Heldy and you used Elrond or someone, it'd be pretty good, nice. So we get Sylvan Tracker out, which is handy for any damage my exhausted heroes take here. Or Sylvans, because they heal 1 damage when they ready up. Alright, just a decent start there. So Heldy, and because the Minstrel left play, Imrahil readies, and now Heldy and Imrahil will attack, doing 6 damage against the Orc there, needing 4, and away we go. So we gained, obviously, a time token for questing successfully. Then we remove it at the end of the round, we refresh and ready up. Alright, so ready up the round. We've got, you can see here, we've got a couple of options here to refresh ourselves up to ready around again. And you can see the board state's pretty in command quite quickly, which is nice. For whatever reason here, I don't actually draw up cards. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, but hey, it is what it is. So here I will look through here and look to play probably the Nath Guide. Nath Guide's great in the sense I can play with Olorian, spend 1 leadership resource, and that leadership resource lets me play with thanks to Olorian, the Nath Guide, I don't have to exhaust. I can adhere to quests. That's one of the perks of it, right? Which means I can commit someone who normally may attack to the quest and get boosted willpower, which is handy. Do note here, using Nath Guide, you can't have Galadriel commit to a quest. The reason is Galadriel can't quest, attack, or defend. Using Nenya, she can attribute or give her willpower to a character, such as Eowyn, or Arwen, or Envoy, or whomever, and as long as they commit to the quest, they get their quest of +4, essentially. So it's all well and good. Be mindful not to put it on someone like, Ithia Swordsman or Envoy of Pelagi, and like you get that any treacheries that destroy a hero or do damage to exhausted heroes like we had before, because what that results in is you lose that willpower from the quest. So you might just be making it, and then also you lose 8, right? And then your threat's going to go up by a bit. So I always like to put it on Eowyn. I'm sure there are other tactics that people do around this, but they definitely look to put it on early onto someone who can take a bit of damage as well. Or someone that you can protect from being uncommitted from the quest. There's lots of treacheries that deal with this sort of scenario, but you want to protect against that. So Arwen's on the quest here as well. Ithia Swordsman's I play, so I essentially play the Envoy of Pelagi for 2 with Ema and Imrahil's resources. I forego using Horn of Gondor because I realised that doing so I could get the Ithia Swordsman out, which gives me an extra 2 to quest. So I can commit these characters to the quest, which is handy. So let's just reset my counters. I should get into the habit of doing that. In this new setup, I can see a bit more on my board, which is nice recording. Just might need to move it across to the left a bit so I get a little bit more decks, but I've got more verticality, which is nice. A few more attachments, which is ideal, and a proper view of the staging area. Alright, so I'm going to quest for 17. Nath Guide doesn't have to exhaust to commit, which works out well based on this draw, to be honest. I draw the card. Okay, Orc Tracker. It's a 35 threat, 2/3/1/3 hunter. When it's revealed, I either need to remove 1 time counter or draw an additional card. And so I can't remove a time counter because that triggers the 2B thing. So I draw an additional card. So I draw the Methedras Orc. Then my second encounter card is Take Cover, which is a surge. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each exhausted character, or reduce time counter. And I don't want to do anything to my time counters, so I'm going to take damage, which means I take damage on Galadriel, Eowyn, Arwen, and Ithia Swordsman, and it's doable. It's not awful, it's just annoying, right? And so, yeah, a lot of things I'm processing what I should do here, but it's essentially doing that there. Thankfully, Nath Guy doesn't exhaust to quest, because I want to bring her back into my hand with the cards later, because I want to use that effect as much as possible. I still quest successfully, so there's 5, 9 in the staging area, plus 3 in the active location. So I need 12, right? Or and it's 9, plus the 3 extra, which I have. I've got 4 up my hand. I could have always discarded cards to boost Eowyn as well, so I've got 2 extra if I need. Which is good there. So Ema's there with Ithia Swordsman leaving play. Ema gets +2. Imrahil leaves play. So all of a sudden, Ema's hitting for 5. Imrahil's hitting for 3. I have Envoy of Pelagi, which allows me to deal with chump blocking. I successfully quested. Right. So away we go there. So I've done the search. I cleared, so I was thinking what was happening there is catching some threat in my head, so I was blanked for a bit. Methedras is clear location, do search 3. Search lets me draw a card. Draw 3 cards for each player. You pick a card to keep, and you discard the rest. Mugash just comes out. If you reveal any enemies, they just come out. So Mugash is out. Super. These triggers go to the bottom of the card when you reveal these cards. Go to 3 A, which I will be doing. So you can see here Mugash comes out. Not probably the best time for him to come out. I can see here with Lorien, I don't need that, they can be discarded. So it's between Nath Guide and Refugee here, and I decide I'll take the Nath Guide. Refugee's cheap, comes out for 1 cost, but I can also make Nath Guide come out for 1 cost, and it gives a perk. Whilst quest hard, it causes issues when people leave play. So 3A, the Wizard's prize, I am holding that in a terrible area, so I'll need to fix that on my next playthrough. But essentially, we have a 15 quest, 3 time forced at the last time counter is removed from this stage. Return Mugash into the staging area and reveal X encounter cards X the number of players in the game -1. So in our case 1. Place 3 timers on counters on this stage. And you can't place progress on the quest until Mugash is subdued. So we need to do 12 damage to him to get him, and then exhaust the hero to subdue him. So we can do this. So we'll finish off our turn now, finish off the travel phase. I'm going to travel to Broken Lands. I don't want to be putting any threat into the staging area. This has 6 threat on it, but given Mugash in the staging area at least for another turn, let's try and clear that, right? Alright, so the first player has 30 threat, Mugash has 1, so the left-hand player is getting 2 orcs at once, none of us at 35. So we are doing alright against the hunter. So Mugash hits not too bad. It's the Methedras Orc that I'm concerned about. And if it defeats a character, it does remove tokens from the counter. So let's deal shadow cards, highest to lowest. I've got Envoy Pelagi, so Mugash does that, it whiffs, that's fantastic. Envoy Pelagi goes. Methedras Orc cops a Orc Hunter, and then it makes another attack. So that goes into Envoy Pelagi, that's fine. If I'd done Methedras Orc first, I could have defended and readied him up again, but hey, it's alright. Oh, actually, no, it's only once per round, so it doesn't matter. So defend here with Imrahil, which is not too bad, so 5 against that there, and I take the damage. If a defender dies, you lose tokens. So I take 2 damage because he had the wonderful Sentinel from before, which is nice. Alright, putting on Imrahil's comment, I would like to have the Gondorian shield, so he's defending for like 4+1, but anyway. And Sentinel lets me do cross-board play. So I have +2 on Irma and Haldy of Lorien, so I could hit for 3-6 there and kill that Orc, which is great. Ideally, I can hit Mugash quite hard with all my characters. I have the feigned voices. This is the key thing. The feigned voices here will stop because it's not an attachment. We can't obviously trap him, so we can use him like feint and quick strike to attack him. He has 4 defense, so we need to hit him for 12. So our goal here is to definitely work through negating his hitting. He hits for 2, but it's the fact that he has so much defense, right? That's okay, and we don't. And if anyone gets damaged, he goes back to the staging area. Don't want any of that sort of stuff, right? So we are doing all right for us, I think. So we get to defeat him. We get to capture him. When we capture him, we can then progress on the staging area, the quest 3B. So at this stage, I want to finish this within 2 or 3 rounds. I don't want to be taking this forever. Right? So there's our Feigned Voices, which is super. An Ancient Method for card draw. Feigned Voices is exactly how I'm going to deal with this here. Got Nath Guide, Orifim. We're sitting in a good spot here. The goal would be definitely to leverage that Feigned Voices. So the Nath Guide will come into play. I'll take the Nath Guide out of play, just purely to get out there. I should have removed the damage as well from Galadriel, but that's alright. So between Nath Guide for 1 and the Defender of Nath for 1 Spirit and 2 Law, I've got out 2 cards here. They're all getting +1 on their stats thanks to Celeborn. Can quest this turn as well, which helps me get some questing on the staging area. And get rid of that 6 quest point location and active location. Mugash, again, definitely want to be after the quest phase. I will use Feigned Voices to remove a card from my hand once, and it'll be someone who's exhausted, right? This is where it's handy, is I would use this on Nath Guide, the second one on the right hand side there, because they will exhaust a quest. I can remove them, and not actually impact it. If I need to defend with the other Nath Guide, I can, because I haven't exhausted a quest. So you can see the power in this deck. It's a pretty solid archetype. It will most likely be my right-hand deck for the entire cycle. Maybe not for Antler Crown, but we'll see. So I'll look to experiment a bit more with my left-hand side, which I'm doing. So Defender of Nath there is the Sentinel Defender. It already has Sentinel, but it gets +1. So it came into the round with Caliborn, so it has +2 defense. So it's defending for 4 with 2 health. So we can take a hit of 6, right, which is pretty handy. I can take those Methedras Orcs without any shadow proc. Right, so I'm not going to tank Mugash with that, but I'm setting those 2 on the quest, like I said before. The standard Galadriel, rotation, Arwen, all that sort of thing. I get the 2, yeah, good. I remembered to do it. I think if you watch my previous video, I definitely forget that Galadriel gives it for free, right? Which gives me a substantial amount to quest here. And that's the thing that's handy, is that you can quest comfortably. And I have 4 in the staging area. So 13 versus 4, which is not too shabby. That Nath Guide did point to Caliborn. I don't know why I exhausted the Caliborn there. But I think I fixed myself up shortly. By questing for 16 against 4, I'll be fine here. I'm aiming to get rid of the broken lands in the active location. I pull up with the 3rd copy of Take Cover, right? So I decide to reduce the time counter. It was on 3, and he's now on 2. So I want to finish his quest in the next 2 rounds. Right? I'll deal 1 damage to each exhausted character, or do that. I don't want to lose Arwen here. That's where I realised I could have healed from the Silver Tracker last round. So I'm umming and ahhing here. So I've moved it twice. The issue here with drawing an additional card, it isn't awful. It's 2-1, so it's only 1 card. So I drop Mugash's Lair. Okay, so it's got 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the staging area. And I'm questing for 16, which means I do clear the broken lands, which is not awful. But yeah, it's manageable. I could always, if I needed to quest more, I can dump those 2 cards into Eowyn for 2 extra quests to 18, but I'm okay. So I'll take the Mugash's Lair. Mugash's Lair is a 4 threat to quest point location, and what it does at the beginning of the quest phase, resource phase. Oh no, beg your pardon, beginning of the counter phase. Essentially, we draw a card from the top of our decks, of the out of play deck, and if it's an enemy, put into play. So it essentially helps you get through your out of play deck, but in this case here, you discard it if it's a player card. Alright, so I have decided to evoke Feigned Voices with Nath Guide, and for whatever reason I brought out the strongest Nath Guide. I don't know, whatever. And Mugash can't attack now, so Mugash will be dealt a shadow card, but he won't attack, which is great. Makes it much easier to deal with him. And we're going alright there. I played Valiant Sacrifice from the previous turn when that Nath Guide went out to draw up those cards, which gives me another Valiant Sacrifice, Test of Will, and a few other things. So Mugash is going to attack. This is where we're going to pile in on him. Because I didn't quest with Imrahil or Eomer, I don't have to defend with them. I can essentially pile in Eomer, Prince Imrahil, Haldir. I don't have Orifim out yet on the right hand side, so I can't add him into ranged, but I'll be able to hit pretty hard there. So, I also removed a character from play. So, character destroyed. So away we went there. Doesn't change it. I don't get many tactics cards anyway. But the goal here is to definitely hit Mugash hard, and whatever I can't do to him, I'll use Gandalf's direct damage. So he can't have attachments, but he can't be impacted by player cards. So I'm going to exhaust Imrahil, and Heldi to do 9 damage to him. No, 11 damage to him because Ema had someone left play, which means 11 minus 4 is 7, so 7 damage directly to him out of 8, which is 1 less than needs to be done, unfortunately. But that's okay. We will get him next turn because I have enough resources on my left-hand hand to play Gandalf. So he goes back to the staging area because I ran out of cards. I ran out of time tokens. And that's okay in this case here. And we draw 1 card up because of that, which is a wonderful wolf. And that surges into a orc tracker, which means I have a lot in my staging area all of a sudden. But that's okay. So let's work through this here. I'm just thinking through how I can handle this scenario. So I've got Mugash in the staging area. I have a number of orcs. It's got a little bit hectic all of a sudden. So draw our cards up. Envoy Pelagir and Galadriel Minstrel. The goal here would be just to kill Mugash and quest like I've never quested before in my life, like questing for literally 30, which is what my goal is here. So I play my Ninth Guide for 1 resource. I play a Minstrel for 1 resource, for 2 resources. And I need to check my top 5 cards for an event card, which gives me Tree People. It's not too bad, actually, because this is where I can use Tree People to get something from my hand in and hopefully get something with high willpower to help contribute to that, because I can remove, like, a Defender of Nath who's got nothing. If I'm going to go all in, because I can play Gandalf on my left hand to purge Mugash, which gives him, I can tap Haldir, exhaust Haldir to bring him in. And that action can be done. It doesn't really defeat him, right? So we'll see how we go here. This is going to be close. Or it could be with Emma, right? It doesn't matter who technically does it. I stack those 2 there. They're the 2 that came out this turn, so they got +2 or +1 to questing. So let's do this here. We're going to Gandalf's the right play here. So spend of my resources, spend 5 on Gandalf. I don't have a sneak attack. I can't do anything cheeky where I play him twice or anything like that. It's going to be all play him in this turn and then play another one afterwards. It's going to be very much a all-in, so I'll need Gandalf's questing power. Because in theory I've got Arwen for 2, Eowyn for 4, Imrahil for 2, 4 from the Nath Guide and the Minstrel, and then a few others. Yeah, it's going to be close. Let's see what we can do here, because there's 2 more cards coming out as well. Right. So let's see. We're in not a bad spot. I can manage what's out. I just need to not punch my camera while I'm recording. So play Gandalf, right? I'll pay for Gandalf, right? Got plenty to pay for him. And I'll keep the 1 in spirit, so I spent my 5. I want to keep that test of will there for a when revealed. So my thoughts are, if a when revealed comes up, I can cancel it. So the 4 damage from Gandalf to Mugash. Mugash is going to be attached to a player. Exhaust a hero he controls, and I can capture it. So I essentially put Mugash on Haldir. Haldir is done. Haldir only has 2, right? So we should be in a good spot here. So throw that down. Let's quest. Let's do it. I'm going to go all in. I need to get 15 on it. I have 2 in the... I need to get 17, 19, 21, 24, 25, 28. I need 28 minimum. With whatever else is coming out. So I'm going to quest for everything here. 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 21 with Gandalf. Yeah, it's getting there. 23. I think the numbers here. So I decided to go. I'm going to go all in. I think this is where I've decided this is the hill I want to die on. I'm looking at how can I boost it. What can I do? What else can I eke out? So I think tree people here, I think tree people into something that can quest harder is the right thing here. Because the Defender of Nath is not adding any value. So I'm going to play that there. It's coming back to my hand to look at the top 5 cards. I got the top 5 there, which is Galadriel. Okay, there's an Aura from there, which is exactly what I'm after because he has 2 plus the 1 from Celeborn, which will give it +3. You can see there now, I have been able to then return a card from my discard pile of an elf I discarded, and then I can use one of the spirits on my hand there to play Sylvan Refugee, which gets me out another 3. So all of a sudden I've increased my questing power by 6 by playing that combination there, which puts me at a recalculation of 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 21. Gandalf makes 25, Armor makes 27, and then Imrahil makes it 29. Okay, I've decided to go all in because there's 2 on the Mugash's lair, so let's send Imrahil and Irma as well. So that's everything except for Haldir. So let's count this up. We've got extras from the Sylvan Refugee. An Orifim towards down the bottom right. So I do have a defender. That's why I'm going to go all in. I'm happy to defend this because if worst case something comes out, Orifim can do something, but that's fine. So I count them. Leave them there just to remind myself because this is a full-on round. So I'm questing for something ridiculous now. So 1, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 25, 26, 30, 32. Alright, it's 30. In my books, it's 32. I can always dump cards, which I'm going to make it 34. Which I can do this afterwards. Right? I dump those cards and I should bump my token to 34 here. So I'm on 34 threat against. Here we go. Oh, Mugash there. Yeah. So it's against. I need 17 to win this turn. Right. So I decided to take the 1 damage there as opposed to drawing the card. I don't want to risk another card. Or 1 damage, 1 time counter comes off. So it's let's have a look there. 5. We're in not a bad spot. I think if I look at there, we get this by 1. So it's 16 against 34. And that gets me through the active location and done on the wizard's path, which is great. So that battle is done. I have the orc captured, and now we need to bring him down off the mountain and back to the home. There's a wild ride of 2 decks helping each other out. A quest where we capture Mugash. I'm getting very lucky getting Mugash on the first search. I've played this 6 or 7 times. I've recorded it 4 times. Finally got it, which is nice. It's a tricky quest because it all depends on the search. With that, let's see what happens next time on the next quest. Thank you for watching.